Okay, I'll myself recite again. Recite again. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Vacha
Udvamulam Adashakam
Urdhvamulam
Udvamulan Adashakam
Ashwattam Prahuravyayam
Ashwadham
Ashwatam
Prahuravyayam
Chandamsi Yasya Parnani
Chandam Siyasya Parnani
Parnani
Yastam Veda Savedavit.
Yastam Vedasa Vedavid.
Synonyms. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha,
Shri
Shri
Bhagavan
Bhagavan Vacha,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
the
the
Supreme
Supreme
Personality
Personality
of
of God said,
Urdhva Moolam,
Urdhvamulam,
Umulam,
with roots above,
with
the
roots
roots
above,
of
Adah,
Adha,
Adha,
downwards,
downward,
downwards,
Shakam,
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 branches,
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 Ashwatam,
Ashwatam,
Ashwadham,
a banyan tree,
a
a
banyan tree,
banyan tree,
Prahuhu,
Prahu,
is said,
is said,
Avyayam,
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 eternal,
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 Chandamsi,
and dance,
Chandans,
the Vedic hymns,
the
Vedic,
Vedic,
Yasya,
yes,
Yasya,
of which
of
of
which
which
Parnani,
Parna,
Parnami,
the leaves,
the
the leaf,
leaves,
Yaha,
Yaha,
Yahu,
anyone who,
anyone,
anyone who,
some,
some,
that,
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 Veda,
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 knows,
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 Saha,
Saha,
Swaha,
he,
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 Vedavit,
Veda,
Vedavid,
the knower of the Vedas.
the knower of the Veda.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
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 Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Purport. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. This tree's roots grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. This process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material existence goes upward. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Now, there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upward, but there is such a thing. The tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationship with it. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of the material tree, and from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then three gunas, then five gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, and then 10 senses, the Shendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. In Brahman, if Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees. And the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality. The Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself, and that is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. Our reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. One who is attracted by the ritualistic tree, he does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all dear devotees for joining this evening's Bhagavad Gita session. It is a very auspicious day today, Ramachandra Vijayotsava or Vijayadashami, or someone or others call it as Dashera or Dasara. So today marks the victory of Lord Ramachandra over Ravana, right? And it is a victory of good over evil, right? So we will discuss about a little bit about Lord Ramachandra at the end of this session. But for now, this is a new chapter, chapter 15, which is chapter 15 is called as Purushottama Yoga. Purushottama Yoga, and Srila Prabhupada translates it as the yoga of Supreme Person, right? So beautiful. Purushottama Yoga. There is only one Purusha in this world. But if someone else claims, or if the male people, they consider themselves to be Purushas, then among them, Purushottama is the Uttama, or the best of the beings, the best of the living entities is Krishna himself. So he's Purushottama. Such a beautiful name, right? So Krishna is called as Purushottama. He's Uttama. He's the best among the best among the people. So he's Purusha Uttama. So the yoga, this yoga or this chapter talks about the yoga or the the yoga of that supreme person. So this is the discussion here. And just to go back a little bit and see what we have done so far. Till see the middle part, which is considered to be the concealed part of this Bhagavad Gita. There are 6 chapters and 3 sections, and the middle section, which is from 7th to 12th, are being concealed between the 1 and 6, and from 13 and 18. So this concealed portion deals with the bhakti yoga. We went through so many opulences of the Lord, so many activities, so much of information relating to the bhakti or devotional service to the Lord in these sections, mainly in the sections, right? From 12, from 7 to 12, and 12th, after 12th came the 13th chapter. In the 13th chapter, Arjuna brings up a very nice points. He asked about 6 subject matters. What are the 6 subject matters? He talks about Purusha, Prakriti. He asks a question: what is Purusha? What is Prakriti? What is knowledge? What is Jnanam, Jnayam? What is Kshetra and what is Kshetragna? 6 topics or 6 subject matters he asks about, and all these 6 subject matters will conclude into 3 topics. So what are those 3 topics? Basically, these three six subject matters revolve around, are centered on 3 topics. Those 3 topics are soul, super soul, and this material world, right? 3 things: Prakriti, Purusha, and all the 6 topics will come and condensed to these 3 principal subject matters that are soul, super soul, and material nature. So the 13th chapter is completely covered with details of what is like all details about the soul, super soul, and the material nature. And 14th chapter we comes and Krishna explains about material modes of material nature. There are 3 modes, right? He talks about mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, and he talks about it in detail. Now in this chapter, in 15, actually in end of 14th chapter, he says that one has to come out. So that is 1426. If you see here, he says that mam chayo avivebicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. He says that if one comes out of these material modes, how does he come out of these material modes? By avibicharena, so without fail, bhakti yogena, by devotional service. If someone comes to this, take up this devotional service without fail, avibicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Sevate means render service. In this devotional service, what happens? That person, he can get out of his like considered to be samatitena sagunan, the gunan, all these material modes, he can transcend these 3 modes of material nature. So he also he mentions this here. And the next verse, the last verse of this chapter, which Amritananda Prabhu explained yesterday nicely. So Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya avasyasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukashya kantikasya cha. Okay, and I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So he says that if one can transcend these material modes, they're considered to be in the Brahman, and he confirms that he is the Brahman, impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is a constitutional position of the ultimate happiness. So Krishna gives this at the end of the 14th chapter. Now in the 15th chapter, he's telling that, okay, if there is something which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and there is he's trying to describe how to achieve this, right? Bhakti yoga, and how you can get into the bhakti yoga. So how you achieve this? For the achievement, that application part is given in the first part of 15th chapter. So 15th chapter starts with Sri Bhagavanu Vacha. Lord is saying that Udvamulam adashakam ashvatam prahuravayam chandhamsi yasya parnani yastham vedasa vedavit. He's saying that Urdhva Moolam, Adhashakam. Moola, we know that Moola, right? Moola is a root or a base. So basically, he's talking about Ashwatha as a tree. So he's talking about a tree. Okay. So the base of the tree is a root. So Mula is a root. So what is he telling about Mula? What is it? What the Lord is saying about the Mula? The Mula is Urdhva, is upwards, is above. Did you ever see a tree which has roots upwards in this material world? Anywhere else? No, we don't see such a tree. But Krishna is saying something here. He's saying that Urdhva Moolam, the Mula or the root of the tree is upwards. Okay. So what is he saying next? He's saying that Shakam is branches. Branches of the tree. How are they? Adha. Adha means they're below the root. Root is on the top, above, and up, and above that, and below that roots are the shaka, are the branches. Do you imagine what he's trying to say? He's saying that there is a tree which is upside down. Okay, and he tells that it is Ashwatha. We talk about Ashwatha in 2 seconds. But before that, let's see what else he's explaining about the tree. Lord is explaining that Prahur Avyayam. Prahur means it is said that, he's saying that it is said that Avyayam, it is eternal. That the tree Ashwatam is Prahuram, it's imperishable, it's eternal. Chandamsi yasya Parnani. Parnani is leaf. Okay. Parnani are the leaves of the tree. See, the root is upwards. Below that is the branch, and below the branch we see the leaves, and those leaves, the Parnani. What is the specialty of that Parnani? Chandamsi. Those are the Vedic hymns, the verses, the chantings of that Vedas is that Parnani, are those leaves. Estham Vedasa Veda Veda. The one who knows, Veda here is knows, the one who knows the tree, Estham, thumb is the tree, right? That tree, he is a knowledgeable, is a knower of the Vedas, Vedavit, the knower of the Vedas. If you say that I know the Vedas, you should understand that the tree completely, okay, not just with the hymns. Hymns are just the leaves, okay. Chandamsi yasya Parnani. So Krishna is telling, in summary, he's telling that there is a Ashwatha tree, and that Ashwatha, the roots are upwards, followed by the branches. And the branches have the leaves, and the leaves represents the Vedic hymns. Okay, the person who knows this tree in total, from top to bottom, each and every part of it, he is a Vedavit. He is the knower of the Vedas. If someone proclaim, I am the Vedavit, so you have to, that person should know that the tree in total, not just the leaves, okay, not just the hymns of the Vedas. Okay. So Ashwatha here, right, is a tree. So Ashwatam also represents, Ashwatha means, Shwatha means permanent. Ashwatha means impermanent. It's not permanent. So Srila Prabhupada mentions here, so the entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. Okay. So that banyan tree, this Ashwatha, this material world is compared to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one. So the entanglement to the material world is a banyan tree. Okay. The entanglement, which is Ashwatha, which is not permanent, that entanglement we're talking about, okay, is Ashwatha tree, is a tree. It's not the material world which is a tree. The entanglement to the material world is a tree, Ashwatha. Okay. The entanglement to this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. It's a metaphor that has been used here. So that's one meaning. So this Ashwatha, which is impermanent or which is temporary, this entanglement is temporary, right? So this entanglement doesn't last for a long time. Okay. And the another meaning of Ashwatha, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu mentions that Ashwa is a tree, right? Tha is the features of Ashwa is a horse and features of the horse. So basically, Eka, the word used here is like, even though the horse has 4 legs, it tends to stand on the 3 legs most of the time. It likes to stand on the 3 legs, right? Ekapada Vibhuti. This material world is called as Ekapada Vibhuti. That the 4th leg, which is lifting up, is not the horse itself is not balancing on that leg, even though it is balancing on the three legs. So the three legs represents the spiritual world, which is three pada vibhuti, right? Tripada vibhuti is three legs, which is a, so if in the comparison here is like this material world is only 1/4, and the spiritual world is 3/4. Okay, so this tripada, the Ashwa, which is standing here, is Ekapada Vibhuti, which is standing with one leg. Sorry, the one leg which the Ashwa or the banyan tree is not supporting is not real. Okay, it is not supporting this material world. So he mentions about that Ashwapada, like Ekapada Vibhuti and Tripada Vibhuti. So Tripada Vibhuti means basically three-fourths of this world is a spiritual world, which is real. But Ekapada Vibhuti, which is 1/4 of this material world, this one leg of this Ashwa or the horse is material world, and which is not material world, and the entanglements in this material world is not true. Okay, so that is another meaning of Ashwatham. So what we're understanding here is a tree which is which has the roots upwards, branch on the branches after the below the roots, right, and the leaves which are where the stems. So where do you find such a tree? We don't find such a tree, right? It's basically a reflection that indicates, Srila Prabhupada mentions in this purport, that it's just a reflection of a reality. So what is a reality? The reality is spiritual world. We have spiritual world, spiritual engagements, spiritual activities. That is the reality. That is the 3/4 of this existence. Okay, and the reflection. If you go to the river bank, right, you see that the trees on the bank of the river. Sometimes we can see. I think I tried to find a picture. Um, so if you see here, right, if you go right, beautiful. So let me see. Images in water. Beautiful. This is good. Do you see this one? So this is a tree. Okay. The reflection of the tree is here. What is real? Is this real, or is the reflection real? Real is the tree itself, right? But the roots of this tree, of the reflection, are upwards, and the branches are below the roots, okay, here, and the leaves are after that. Okay, so now, so this reflection can be there for some time, when there is sun, when there is some kind of correct positions, right? You can see this reflection, but it is not permanent. It can go away. Okay, so Krishna is saying that in the following verses, he says that cut this tree. What is it? What we have to cut? What does the tree represent? The tree represents the entanglements in this material world, this material entanglements. So cut these material entanglements. He's saying that to achieve or to go back or to get out of this material world, what you have to do? You have to cut these material entanglements, cut this off. Okay. Now, Krishna, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the base of this reflection, right? What is the base of this reflection? Is water here. If there is no water, we could not have seen this tree here in this picture. Okay. So in the similar way, the base of our existence, of our material entanglements, are desires. Okay. So we decide that we have to have our own enjoyment. Jiver Nitya Swarup Hoy, Krishna, sorry, Jiver Swarup Hoy, Krishna Nityadas, right? The identity of a living entity, or the identity of the soul, is to serve the Lord. Krishna Nityadas, serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is called as Krishna. But if we, but at one point of time, we don't want to serve. We also want to enjoy. We want to have our own. Actually, we wanted to enjoy like Krishna, and Krishna created this material world, and this material world is for our enjoyment, but which is temporary. We cannot sustain here. We cannot live here. because our 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 intention to serve has been um, is being polluted here. No, it's not a perverted. It's a perverted reflection or perverted desire, which we didn't want to continue, or which is not permanent. Okay, that's why Krishna says that please come back to my, or come back to your own world. Okay, so if you see, Srila Prabhupada mentions good points here. He says that the entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. So he says that if one is engaged, since this entanglement, right? Entanglement of this material world is banyan tree. But if one is engaged in these fruitive activities or karma kanda activities, what happens? Like, I perform some austerity, or I perform some kind of bhakti, I perform some kind of yoga, so that I with an expectation, with fruitive activities means with an expectation to receive something back from that. Okay, that is called as fruitive activities. So that if a person is engaged, so what happens? He wanders from one branch to another branch. So one branch, he says that okay, so what are these leaves? Vedic hymns. He chants the Vedic hymns to get a better job, right, and to perform some activities, and to have a financial benefit. After that, I want to have a big house. Then you jump into another branch where the Vedic hymn says how to get a good house or good stability, a good dwelling, and then he jumps to another branch. So like that, the desires are there. You keep procuring, or you keep jumping from one branch to another branch to achieve those desires, to fulfill those desires. The tree of the material world has no end. Yeah, because there is no end for these desires. This keeps coming up, right? And the Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of the tree. So these leaves of the trees, which we follow to achieve our desires, or to fulfill our desires. This tree's roots goes upwards because they begin from the Brahma, where Brahma is located. So the main source, or the engineer of this material world, is the source. Source is the topmost planet, which is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, and the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of the illusion, then one can get out of it. So to understand the how to get out of it, or how to get detached from it, what you have to understand is not the hymns, not you're not knowing the Vedic hymns, but to know the tree in full. What is a tree? How is it formed? Why is it reflected? What is the purpose of this tree? So what are these branches represent? So if you understand this tree in total, instead of just sticking to the hymns and getting your desires fulfilled, if we can understand what is this tree in total, then if one can understand this indestructible tree, right, of illusion, then one can get out of it. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. This purpose of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapter, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to go out, to get out of material entanglement. So this material entanglement, you can get out in multiple ways, right? There are so many ways. What are those ways? So we talked about yoga ladder, where we saw the karma yoga, jnana yoga, all these yogas, ashtanga yoga, different processes. There are so many things, and in the middle chapters, as I mentioned, bhakti yoga is explained. So there are multiple, in the previous chapters, there are many processes by which to get out of the material world has been discussed. Okay, and up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is best way. So from 6 to 12, we see that devotional service is the best way. Now the basic principle of devotional service is detachment. So for the devotional service to happen, the basic principle Srila Prabhupada mentioning here is detachment from the material activities. If you have to perform um, devotional service, we have to, the basic principle is, he's giving in another perspective. He's saying that if you want to have a devotional service, the best thing, or the basic principle is develop the detachment, little bit of detachment from the material activities, and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in this beginning of the chapter. So how to detach. The next following verse also explains about this Ashwatha tree, and he tells to cut this attachment to this material entanglements. So that is what Srila Prabhupada mentioning. The root of this material existence grows upwards. This means that it begins from total substance, topmost universe. Okay, from there the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. Branches are various planetary systems, and the leaves are the Vedic hymns. Okay, the fruits represent the results of living entities activities. So the fruits, what are the fruits? Fruits are you perform so many activities with the entanglement, right? Jumping one branch to another branch to another branch. Then the fruits are dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The four divisions of Hindu philosophy. What are they? Dharma, religion; economic development, artha; kama is sense gratification; liberation is moksha. So um, this is in mode of goodness. So if we follow dharma, artha, kama, moksha, it's a mode of goodness. So that is the main purpose or the fruits of this tree. So as far as you are in this cycle of entanglement to this tree, to this material entanglements, then you get these four things. Those are the results. Those are the fruits of the tree. Okay. Now there is no ready experience in this world. So as we discussed, there is no experience of seeing a tree which has the roots upward and the branches downward. Okay. So, but Srila Prabhupada mentions that, as we said, it's in the bank of a river or some banks. We can see the trees, the reflection, it's not real. So we talked about it. This tree begins being the reflection of the real tree is an exact replica. This is important. So we have something which is real, spiritual world, which is three-fourths we told, and the tree which we are clinging to is just a reflection which is temporary. Even though it is a reflection, if there is some reflection, then that means there must be something real. There is a real tree. That's why we see the reflection here, except replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material world, material tree, and okay, so the impersonalists, the Mayavadis, they think Brahman or the spiritual energy of the Lord as the root of this material tree, and he Prabhupada explains here that it's another Sankhya philosophy. He talks about Prakriti, Purusha, three gunas, five gross elements, and everything. The first Prakriti, Purusha, Brahman. They said that the root is Brahman, and from the Brahman, Prakriti, Purusha, and all this comes out. Now we say that it's Krishna himself or Vishnu himself. That's okay. That's in this way they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, so if the Brahman or the spiritual energy of the Lord is the center of everything, then 190 degrees opposite. That means if there is something like this, straight, right, upwards, the 180 degrees is backwards, like downwards, upwards and downwards, 180 degrees angle, right? And the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is perverted reflection. It's not a proper reflection, but it's a perverted reflection. So the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality, material world is there, it's a reflection, but it is not real. They are temporary. But if in the spiritual world, it's all the same variegatedness is there, but it's a reality. The Prakriti is external energy of the Supreme Lord. The Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself. Okay, we talked about it, right? Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Sakti Rekha Cha Eva Yasha Bhuvanani Bhibarti Durga Ichchana Rupam Yasha Cheshta Tesha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. So the Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Sakti Rekha, everything maintenance is done by the Chaya or the shadow. So Prakriti is a shadow of the Lord, is the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, that Chaya, if the Chaya or the external energy is Prakriti, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself, he is the Supreme Lord, and that is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. So this material manifestation is temporary. It's a reflection. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. So we talked about it. Okay. So one who is attracted by ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He is not the knower of the Vedas. He just knows the hymns, and he knows how to get the things done by chanting those hymns. Okay. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of spiritual world. So that is the today's verse. Tomorrow the verse continues. Yeah, beautiful descriptions. So I'm gonna leave it for tomorrow's devotee who's gonna give the class. But today is a special day, as I mentioned earlier. So Ramachandra Vijayosava, Sri Ram, when he came, he acted as if he was a human being completely. When he performs those activities, right, as we said, um, he completely involved in those activities. He behaved like a human being. He behaved like a king. So when Sita Devi was taken away by Ravan, right, he could have killed his supreme personality of Godhead, right, Sri Ramachandra. But no, he was crying and he was frantically looking for her. So that's how the Yoga Maya helps for us to understand or to enjoy the Lord's pastimes. But anyway, finally, with the help of Lord Hanuman, Hanumanji found Sita's presence in Lanka, and with the Vanar Sena, with a lot of other like monkey warriors, Lord Ramachandra with his brother, he has killed today after performing 9 days of Navaratri, or 9 days of prayers to the mother, Lord Ramachandra, he killed uh, Ravana on this special day. And this day is very special because it's a victory over lust. Ravana represents lust, so it's a victory over lust, and we should celebrate it uh, like now very nicely, because Ramachandra is good, represents good, and we are we have to celebrate, and we have to remember the stories. We have to recollect and imbibe. So all these stories, all the pastimes that are happening are for our benefit, for our learnings, for our lessons. So this is what has happened. And I would request uh, if Satyabhama Mataji can lead some Ramachandra Raghuvira bhajan or something like that. Mataji, are you available to sing?
Yes, Prabhuji. I will sing one Ram Bhajan.
Yes, Mataji, that's good. Yeah, please.
He Ram, He Ram, He Ram, He Ram, जग में साचो तेरो नाम हे राम हे राम तू ही माता तू ही पिता है तू ही तो है राधा का श्याम हे राम हे राम तू अंतर्यामी सबका स्वामी तू अंतर्यामी जग का स्वामी तेरे चरणों में चारों धाम हे राम हे राम तू ही बिगाड़े तू ही सवारे तू ही बिगाड़े तू ही सवारे इस जग के सारे काम हे राम हे राम हे राम हे राम जग में साचो तेरो नाम हे राम हे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Ramchandra Bhagwan ki jai.
Jai.
Srila
Thank you.
Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So, so that is what I had to cover in this session today. So please share your comments, concerns, questions, realizations on this class. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Happy Vijaya Dasami to everyone, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So,
Thank you, Ashish.
my
Ashish.
one question is that, so you can see that reflection of the tree in the water, right?
Mhm.
So, whatever things here, maybe it is not real, reflection is not real. Whatever things in material world, everything is in spiritual world. Am I correct?
Mhm.
The real sense is the material world. So do you think that these snakes, big snakes, and everything is in the in spiritual world?
Very good question, Prabhuji. I think I don't have the answer for that, but exactly I don't know. But I think they must be representing, if the snakes represent envy, right? So that must be representing in a better way in the spiritual world, isn't it? So in general, snakes represent envy, Prabhu. So the enviousness is a perverted form. Okay. What is the good form or the real form of envy? Is appreciation. So there must be, there may, like, there may be something which may be representing appreciation. But while I was talking, while I'm speaking now, I'm just remembering there was Agasura in Vrindavan, and there was a pastime with Agasura. Agasura represents snakes also. So I don't know. There may be some kind of snakes. Exactly I don't know the answer for this, Prabhuji. But I'm just
That's
as you asked, I'm just thinking. Yeah.
I was striking this thing in my mind. That's why I asked you. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah, good question, but I don't know the exact answer. But yeah, there may be, because even though the snakes in the material world represent some enviousness, like their envy, but there may be some creatures or some like yes, there must be something there, like an appreciating. Appreciation is an opposite of envy. So as the reflection is opposite of the reality, so there must be something, some animal or some creature, maybe a snake itself, I don't know, that which may have an appreciative mood in there, in the
And yeah, other thing you can see that, Prabhu, another question here. That you can see the Balaram expansion is Anantanag, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Anantanag there.
Hmm.
So Anantanag is everywhere in Garbhodaya Vishnu, Khyudaya Vishnu. But in case of the Mahavishnu,
Hmm.
is there any Anantanag there? No, right?
Mahavishnu is Karanodaksha Vishnu, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Karanodaksha Vishnu is staying in the Karna ocean. So that
Yes.
means Karna ocean, when he's lying down, the Ananta is there also.
Ananta is there. Oh, okay.
Yes.
And what about the Narayan and Narayan form in Narayan? Narayan has that no, I think that after Karmadaya Vishnu there is no Anantanag, right? Ananta expansion, right? But before means prior to that there is no Ananta Sesa, right? Like Narayan Roops, there is no Ananta Sesa, I think, right?
Yeah. So what you're saying is, like, after yeah, Ananta, if I remember correctly, Prabhuji, he comes way before Karadaksha Vishnu also. Balram's form, like Balram himself, right? So do you represent Balram as a snake there? I don't know if we represent him like that, but Ananta comes way beyond these Vishnu forms, or this planetary portion expansions, this quadruple expansions. Ananta is
Okay.
explain in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I was reading one purport from Srila Prabhupada. He mentions that Ananta comes way before these planetary portions, like quadruple expansions. So that means I'm not talking about Vasudeva, Shankarshan, Padhyam, Aniruddha. So before that, Ananta comes, and that Ananta is a form of Lakshman. So that there is a lot of description there, Prabhuji, but I am
Okay.
not clear at this point because I forgot. I read it long time back and I forgot the details.
Okay. No problem. Dandavat Prabhu. Dandavat Prabhu, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Harikishore, for enlivening everybody, us. Basically explain the importance of the 15th chapter, and especially we are on getting into the very auspicious month of Kartik. It's going to start on this Sunday. And we are also entering into a very auspicious chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Jisrana Spiritual Yoga. So last few chapters, which is specifically giving us the transcendental knowledge. So in this chapter also mentioned that by this knowledge, only that we can cut the material attachment. So knowledge is very important in order to come out of this entanglement. So that's where we are studying systematically Bhagavad Gita so that we get the understanding, proper understanding of all about what we are, who we are, why we are, what is it all about, what is the process. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So it's based on 3 aspects of it. So thank you. So please join every day. And this is the only way that we can. Otherwise, how much we try, it will not have much effect. Doesn't have much effect. Only by understanding and association and hearing and keep our enthusiasm, or how much we try, that's what is all matters. That then everything will come upon. So thank you so much. Anybody has any other comments, any other concerns or reflections, questions? Today is also a very, very auspicious day. As Harikishore Prabhuji mentioned, today is Dasara or Ramachandra Vijay also. In India, it is tomorrow, according to the calendar. Today they are celebrating Mahanavami. But here, yesterday was Navami, and today we are celebrating Dasara, Ramachandra Vijay also. So, it's very, very auspicious. Remembering the past times, as Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Janma Karma Jame Divyam, Evam Yovedi Tattvadaha, Tektva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mamedi. So Arjuna, one who knows my transcendental appearance and activities, and upon leaving the body, never comes back into this material world again. Will come back to me. There is no doubt. It's Krishna's promise. So we take this opportunity to remember the pastimes of the Lord, understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, understand the supreme truth and the supreme Lord. So Amurdhananda Prabhu has raised his hands. Please go ahead, Amurdhananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances, everyone. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. The point which Ashlesh Prabhu, Karuna Prabhu had raised of envy, my understanding is that everything can be used in Krishna's service, the Yukta Vairagya principle. And even in Golok Vrindavan, there is envy. So, for example, the gopis are envious of Krishna's Venu. I think it's Venu Geet. In that they are envious that he is all the time, the flute is all the time in contact with Krishna's lips. But the difference between the envy of spiritual world and the envy we have here, that envy we have here is self-driven, whereas the envy in the spiritual world is they can use it for the service of Krishna. Same way anger, Arjuna used his anger to kill in the Mahabharata war as a service to Krishna. So whatever emotions that we have over here, it is a negative emotion because it's detrimental for us. But over there, it is for Krishna's pleasure as a service to him. That's what I could gather, Prabhu, unless my understanding is wrong.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Amritanand Prabhu. Yeah, that's transcendental envy. That is, yeah, that's different. Different, because you define it very well, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Anybody
Thank you.
else?
Thank you, Babu. Dhanavad Pranam. Very nice point.
The reflection of your question also, what in the material world is a reflection of the spiritual realm. Yes, that's absolutely true. What we see in the material world and what we see in the spiritual world completely in a pure form. And in the material world, it is in the contaminated form or covered form. So that's why it is mentioned that it is reflection. It's actually in reality, it is temporary. So the existence, whatever is here, is also there in the spiritual world, but it's in the purest form. Like for an example, we have time here, but the time is over there, is controlled by Yoga Maya in its pure form. It is eternal there, right? Eternal is also, that means it's all the reflection or the energy of the Lord utilized in a very purest form. Dust is there in the spiritual world, and it's mentioned that in this, I think in the Sri Rupa Goswami's books. Devotees every day they clean the floor, they clean the wall, they clean everything. Why? Because of they wanted to engage in the service of the Lord. The dust is not that the dust we are seeing here in this world. The dust is there in its actually pure form. It's all spiritual form, but it's making us as a dust to engage in the service of the Lord, so that they give the pleasure to the Krishna. There are everything. There are snakes, but that snakes are not with the poisonous effect, or that's a poison which has it here. Yes, it has poison, but that is all in a very spiritual way, because they all in the service of the Lord. And there are birds. They are competing each other. We went through this the descriptions of the Vishnu Vaikuntha Loka. They're so beautiful. There are peacocks, there are birds, there are trees, there are streams, there are creepers. All are in the service of the Lord. There are sky, the moon and sun is actually not illuminated by the sun and moon, but in the form is there. Everything is there in the service of the Lord in the purest form. Even a stone is actually has full of conscience. A tree has full of conscience. A dust has full of conscience. It's completely spiritual. That's spiritual means full of conscience. We are in this material world. We are covered. We are covered with all this material, like a fire is covered with the smoke. So then we just see a little bit of. But these are the full fire, complete fire. So even in material world, if we cannot say that the fire is completely pure, but because it has some contamination in it. But that is not the case over there. Spiritual means completely pure, completely full of conscience, completely full of knowledge, completely full of potency, and completely eternal. No doubt into that. So everything is there in this way. So trees, the branches, the leaves, the stones and the streams, the birds and insects, everything. So they are there to serve Krishna. Everybody is in the service of Krishna. So who is making all this possible? Yoga Maya, making all this possible. Sometimes, they may be as a tree, or sometimes they may be, depends on their degree and intensity of service. They take various forms. But there are also who are very constantly and very closely serving, very nearby. That there are also distinctions here, but everybody is assisting the gopis, and manjaris are assisting gopis, and all the other devotees assist the manjaris, and those who are there serving the devotees, those who assist the manjaris. So it goes on like that. So it's all by Krishna, Yogamaya. And then Krishna will be also with each and everybody. Krishna will be also giving association to each and everybody. So everybody will have an opportunity to serve eternally over there. So it's beautiful.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, giving insights in this. But we see that in our Vaikuntha planet there is in third canto and other canto also describe about the Vaikuntha planets.
Yes.
And there we did not see anything like that, but other things is given, the birds and everything, swan, everything is given there. And other thing, Prabhu. But in case of the Shiva Loka, in third canto, you can see that after the, Birbhadra killed Daksha, Brahma and demigods went to Shiva, and that time you see this in Shiva Loka, you can see the lion and other animal there. But in case of the Vaikuntha Loka description, we did not see that type of description. But you are correct, Prabhu. Everything is in pure state. So that's a good insight, Prabhu.
They always remember this. It's full of conscious.
Yes.
The anything that which is spiritual is full of conscious and full of potency and full
Yes.
of knowledge,
Yes, Prabhu.
right?
Yes. Even in the dust also that has
Yes.
dust.
Dust
Yes.
also has it. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm contemplating this thing. Yes, yes, Prabhu. I understand a little bit. Maybe I not fully realized, but I'm getting this thing. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah.
But just I should not ask this question because you know that you are mentioning, but just for clarification, Prabhu. That's why.
Yeah, you can always, Proji, always welcome to ask and reflect. And that's why this forum is there. Whatever, devotees, they share, devotees reflect. Whatever, all the devotees, they can talk, they can, share their reflections and realizations. So this way, we get more into the details of it, the spiritual realm and spiritual potency.
Yes, other thing, Prabhu, another question to so in connection of that in the Vijaya Dasham and others. So my question is that Bhagavan, Lord Shiva and Lord Parvati, Devi Parvati, is the controller of the material world. Controller Devi Parvati is the controller of the material world, or material world itself is the Devi Parvati.
Hmm. Go ahead, Harikishore.
So, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that's a material world is the external energy of the Lord. Okay. Sorry, material world is created from the Lord, but uh, Parvati Devi is the external energy of the Lord. So energy of the Lord comes down as Mother Parvati, and she controls the creation which was emanated from the Lord himself. So they're different, Prabhuji. Material world is like a jail, and the jailer for that material world is Parvati Devi. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
That means he's controlling this thing. He's
Yes,
a controller. He's
correct.
not the actually that material things. he's a controller. He's a
Yeah.
post. That is correct. I understood your point.
That's
So
right.
he has the he has the whole control of the material world. That is that means he's not directly touch with the material things, right? Am I correct?
She's an external energy. She deals with the material world. So if you say if she cannot come directly, then who is going to do it? So she's the one, or the external energy of the Lord, who is in the representation of the material Durga Devi. She gets in touch with this material world and she controls it.
Eh, eh,
Krishna never gets in touch with the material world, but yes, Durga Devi, she has to come in touch with the material world to perform those activities.
yes, I got your point. I got your point. And but I'm talking is he's not involved in the material world. He's not fully involved in the material, but she's doing the work. She's not involved in.
The other form, if you go in detail like that, right? So other form of Durga Devi or other form of that external energy of the Lord is Prakriti. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
if Prakriti, in the form of Prakriti, she has to create all these modes. Modes of nature comes out, and from the modes of nature and the Prakriti, then there are different things. Like Krishna impregnates. So that's a different thing. So basically, what I'm trying to say is like it's like a jail, even though she herself does not get involved in this material world, but she's a jailer, but she has to live in the jail. You know what I mean?
Yes,
If
I understood
is
you.
there, yeah.
Yes, sorry for interruption. I got your point. That means he's controlling everything. His order is performing the order of the supreme person, and but he's
She is not
he,
material. That's what you're saying, right? She's
yes,
not
yes,
material. Yes, she's not
yes,
material, but
yes,
she performs all the activities related to material world.
yes. Thank you,
He is
brother.
also known as Adi Parashakti. I heard this word. He is also known as Adi Parashakti. That means Parashakti means yes, it's a potency of Lord, Supreme Lord. Mentioned in there's a temple in Mukambika. Mukambika Devi is known as Adi Parashakti. And why it is Adi Parashakti? Because of this also direct manifestation of the Supreme Lord's potency. Or we can say that Yoga Maya, when it is in the material world, is Mahamaya. The Durga Devi has a trident, right? You know that the trident. You know what it represents? This trident.
No, Prabhu, I don't know.
This
Please
trident.
explain.
Yeah, the trident represents the gunas, three gunas.
Trishul, yeah, Trishul, three gunas.
Trishul is considered represents the three gunas. So yes, we all know that Brahma is the predominant deity of mode of passion. And Lord Vishnu is the predominant deity of mode of goodness. And then Lord Shiva is the predominant deity of the mode of ignorance. But that doesn't mean that they are in that mode. They are the predominant deity. That means, the controllers of it. Or we can say Lord Vishnu maintained this world. So that is needed, the mode of goodness is there, so that it maintains. Brahma has to create, the passion is there, and then Shiva has to annihilate, so that the ignorance must be there. It's considered in the mode of ignorance, the destructions of, annihilation or all these things. But above all, the Mahamaya or the Durga Devi has the trident, this trident. So in the spiritual realm, Yoga Maya arranges everything. So like that, depends on the desires of the living entities, those who wanted to go away from Krishna and wanted to fulfill their desires. So like we are in a prison, the jailer arranges everything for the prisoners. So like that, the Mahamaya gives and arranges everything to us. But So that potency, that influence comes to us as in the form of an illusion, but we never realize that is an illusion. We think that is real. That's what is the role of this Mahamaya. A Jiva put it into a place of ignorance, but they don't know that they are in the ignorance. So they are completely forgot. The person in the mode of passion, Mahamaya put into that role so that the person doesn't know that I'm actually struggling and suffering and aggressive things. So like that, a person, the mode of goodness also. So this all happens as per the Mahamaya, and that's what is they wanted, the desires they wanted to fulfill. So Mahamaya influence all of them in such a way that, and then they take away from Krishna in that way. Those who desires to fulfill, they give that, so that this devotee or this living entity forgets completely about, so gives that illusion to the people. That means I think that everything is, yes, I'm great, I'm that, false ego. Okay, what is wrong in it? Where is the God? What is wrong in it if I do this way? So I can do anything I want. That I'm free. I'm completely independent. So all come from this, from the Mahamaya's influence. Because of that, the living entity wandered like that, or the living entity has a desire to enjoy this world. So it depends on that. The living entity goes through that. But the same way, then devotee comes out by the process of spiritual potency. So when sun is there won't be any darkness. So like that, when the Krishna, the spiritual potency is there, then there cannot be more influence on the material potency or Mahamaya's potency or the influence. So when somebody is in so much in material, that means they have this Mahamaya's influence. But somebody is into the spiritual realm, spiritual potency, that means they are into the spiritual potency, so less effect of the Mahamaya over there. But Mahamaya will try as much as. But that's why, it's very difficult to overcome these three modes of material nature, because of Mahamaya has such a potency over each and every living entity. The illusory energy. So we think that, what is wrong? This is the world, this is one life I have, I should enjoy. So getting that from the influence of Mahamaya, or the material or external energy, or, this is all part of that external energy. External energy is not that one entity that just, create just everything. The Mahamaya is part of that external, one entity of external energy. Brahma is also a Jiva Tattva, part of that, Vishnu, the Supreme Lord's potency. There are some extent that also there. Every living entity in this material world has some influence of this Mahamaya. That's why also we know that Parvati Devi is a consort of Lord Shiva, right? So why the Mahamaya or the Durga Devi is a consort of Lord Shiva? Because of the topmost personality in this world is in touch with this material world is Lord Shiva. The moment the Supreme Lord touched with this material world like a milk is touched by the yogurt, the milk is touched by the acid, then it's completely become different. So also sometimes Shiva is also considered as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I was reading today morning, Sri Rupa Goswami addressing Lord Shiva as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, Lord Shiva is also in one sense the part of the Supreme Lord, the energy of the Supreme Lord, or the Guna Avadara of the Supreme Lord. So why? So in spiritual world, Yogamaya is more, related with the Supreme Lord. So in the material world, Mother Parvati or the Mahamaya is more in relation or connected with the Lord Shiva. So like that. So it is also an entity of that external energy of the Lord. It's not that the complete external energy of the Lord. No, it's an entity of the external energy. So through this entity or the agency, the external energy works. So that, there are so many, like Shiva, Vishnu here is mentioning, is the Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who maintains everything in this material realm. And the Brahma is there. And then the Durga Devi, the Parvati also, Parashakti is there. They're all there to, maintain in various ways.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
Mother Parvati and Mahamaya, Yogamaya, they are all expansions of Radharani, correct? So they are not Jiva Tattva.
True. But when it comes to like Lord Shiva, the moment, that's why, Shiva Tattva is different. Like, the moment Lord Shiva touched with this material world, that's otherwise it's again the Supreme Lord, Krishna himself or Vishnu himself.
Yeah.
The moment he touched, so then he became a Shiva. Yeah, like that. Even though the potency of Mahalakshmi, the expansion of when Mahalakshmi is in Vaikunta, Radharani is in Goloka Vrindavan, Mahalakshmi is in Vaikunta, and similarly, the Durga Devi is into this material world. There is a verse in the Brahma Samhita also. Devi Mahesha, Mahesha Dham, Devi Mahesha
Haridhameshu
Teshu, so like that. Devi Dham, Mahesha Dham. These are all here actually in this material world, or is considered as this material world is also considered as a Devi Dham, and above that is Mahesha Dham. Then Vaikuntha Dham, it goes like that. So this, when also that potency then come in contact with this material world, then it is a Mother Durga or Parvati or Mahamaya or like that. Yes, in these are the various expansions or the plenary expansions of Radharani as well. So, Sudhagar Ballam Prabhu, you have raised your hand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, just a question I have. So in this whole creation, right, this material universe, of course there is a matter, so many galaxies and right planets and all that. So I also heard, in the scientific circles, no, that's again based on the observations and all that. They think there is something beyond this matter, which is really, driving this whole universe. One sense is they call it dark matter and also dark energy. In the sense that dark matter is really, within this galaxies, which is really holding it together, and right, and the dark energy is what it is really, making this universe expand, right, with that influence. So they call it, of course, with the name dark energy, dark matter. But they think that they may one day try to find out, because right now they think, it cannot be perceived or through whatever means currently they have. I was just wondering, is that something really and also they think it is like 3/4 of this whole thing is only material matter, is only 1/4, and remaining 3/4 is which is a dark matter or dark energy. So is that really the spiritual in nature, which is really powering this whole matter that we see in this universe? But and also, if that is the case, isn't it foolish for the scientists to think that they can one day find out or get in touch with that dark matter or dark energy. So I just wondering, I don't know if it is something related to this subject, but just want to ask. Hare Krishna.
Go Harikishore Prabhu.
Thank you, Sudhakar Balam Prabhu, for such a nice point you pointed that. So whatever definition we give for the source of this material world, right, it all comes back to the definition that there is something which is beyond our perception, right? Beyond what our understanding is. So as a devotee, we know that all this is being done by the Lord, by the energy of the Lord, energies of the Lord. Okay. But scientists, if they accept or if they do not accept, but they also know at the back of the mind that there is something which is beyond a third party, which is not in this world, who is controlling this world. Okay. Tomorrow they may come back and say, oh, there are dark holes or like black holes from this the energy is sourcing, or they can come back with anything. But as a devotee, we see and we know that we have the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we know that He is the one who created this, and He is the one who is the source of all these activities that were been happening in this material world. So yes, Prabhu, you pointed it right. Yes, it's hard for them to understand, to accept the scriptures, because science or the scientists, they go with the proof and whatever the experiment and proof philosophy, where they need to see what's happening, but they cannot see the God unless they have the qualification to see the God. So actually, we as devotees performing or practicing devotees for so many years, we can see the God. So what to speak about them, right? So we are all defective. So with defective senses or defective things, we cannot see the God. But that's right. Now we understand from the scriptures. Scriptures are like mother. If mother says who is the father, there should be no doubt about it. But it's hard for the some people, to understand. Um, it's very simple, as you said. It's very simple to understand. There is some God who is controlling this, but some people cannot understand it, and we should not force them to make understand it, because that's the not understanding the source is also because of the karmas, because of the um, activities they perform. They should be qualified to get to this understanding. So yes, Prabhuji, thank you for that point.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Very true, very true, which is, we know that from the Mahavishnu, the body of Mahavishnu, each universe comes out. And then what is also finally happen when its annihilation happens, Bhagavad explains it goes back to the body of Mahavishnu. When Mahavishnu exhale, the whole universes comes out. When Mahavishnu inhale, everything goes back to Mahavishnu. This is what is exactly science also coming with us, coming to the point. They say, when the age is over, like everything is attracted to this black matter or dark hole, they further points out that it all goes to a point. That's what is they start with this Big Bang theory, right? Everything attracted to a point. I mean, they says that it's just a single one point. Nobody can define, nobody can explain what it is, but the mass, everything is so high. Can you imagine that? They say, nothing comes out into that, but everything it goes back and attracts everything. And because of it doesn't come back, or even light goes there and it won't come back. That's why we don't see it. That's why it is known as black hole or the dark hole. Everything goes back into that. So all is come from one point of, then it will stay for there sometime like that. And then finally it comes back from the same black hole again. This is what is their theory, their, what is called the thesis. So that's what is exactly our Bhagavad explains that. It all comes from the Mahavishnu. Yes, we don't see it, but that is a fact. It goes there. And even science says that the universe is expanding. Science proved that the universe is expanding. That is true because of the creation. It's like, it goes like this. Its creation is always there. And also annihilation is also there. So one universe may be expanding, another universe is going back to the body of Mahavishnu. And galaxies and the clusters and universes. Think about it. And is it just a joke? I mean, even simple, whoever can think can understand that, if something is though not there, if some energy is not there, how things will work out. Actually, it's just happen like that. So no, I say even science even proven that, right? Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It cannot be created. Then where it's come from? All this, they say it's all come from the energy. Then where is the energy come from? It's very simple, right? It's very simple. So they cannot understand this, but because of they are completely covered by again this illusory energy. That's what is they want. So now Bhagavad Gita explains that. I was thinking this exact thought is came to my also mind in the evening. I was sitting there. Only by those who seen this, only way that we can understand this by approaching a devotee who has seen this. So in the Bhagavad Gita explains that, it says that pariprasnena sevedeya ubadeshandiya jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. Those who have seen this, they can explain to you and how we should inquire from them submissively and serving them so that we can understand this from so this way then we can see that the transcendental truth because they have seen that truth. That's where we are exactly. We are dissenting our Rohana because of those sages, those rishis. And not only that, it's directly come from even Krishna himself revealed to us. That's why in the fourth chapter we see that initially, Mam Vivasave Yoga, that Krishna instructed this imperishable transcendental science to the sun god Vivaswan. Vivaswan instructed to Manu. Manu, in turn, instructed to Ishwagru, right? So it was also described. Now Krishna was revealed this to Arjuna. So this is the real truth. And this is the transcendental truth and the transcendental knowledge. So they may call it in various name or something like that, even though they, may not admit that there is a Lord, there is a God, but they are all admitting that there is a superior energy beyond it. That's why they started with this experiment of finding out the divine particles, God particles, right? In Germany, they started. It didn't reach anywhere. So they say that one day they will, but how long they were doing this? They cannot. Even in the human psych, 100 years of human, they can't because of they are not really coming to the mercy of it. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, we'll see that in the 15th verse. Sarvasya jagam udesa nivishtos madhas murdur jnanam abohanam. From me comes remembrance, from me comes knowledge, and even from me comes, ignorance, forgetfulness. So only by we focus on, that's why in this chapter is so important. When we are so much tied to the material attachment, we will not be able to come to that point of understanding all this in a transcendental level. So we have to have that submissive mood, association, and also that enthusiasm from hearing from the spiritual masters and the self-realized devotees, so they can impart this knowledge because they have seen the truth. That's what we are exactly going through. Yeah, that's very wonderful.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
If I may add to the question, I've been struggling with this magazine from BBT, which is discussing this with a very deep length. And the question basically it talks about it. Big questions about Big Bang. All the scientific issues are discovered or discussed. And essentially what it is saying is that there are three things: matter, energy, and consciousness. And by and large, we are not discussing consciousness anywhere. That is one issue. And the second issue is the scientists take liberty in speculating about a lot of things about dark matter. They say, number one, there exists dark matter, which you cannot even see. And then they get upset if we speculate about God or, if we discuss God. So there is some amount of, if they can speculate about dark matter, and which they admit they cannot see, they should give us the freedom to discuss God or speculate about God. In either case, I got this from Washington DC Temple sometime. It's a wonderful magazine. It discusses very thoroughly the issues with presentation of modern science and also spirituality. And if you really want a scientific perspective, I think there's a book written by Sadaputta Prabhu. It's Mechanistic Science and Non-Mechanistic Science. That would discuss all these things at a great detail.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot. Thanks very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Sudhakar.
So, yeah, it's very wonderful. So then think about this way. So scientists, they don't believe anything. That's so they don't come to realization or, anything like that. But on the other hand, think about the devotee. Devotees have such a higher level of spiritual consciousness. The Lord comes into their dream. Lord comes to give their darshan to the Lord. You know that Madhavendra Puri, Lord came to this dream and says that I am lying down there under the bush. So Madhavendra Puri next day immediately went there and saw that there is a, deity over there. And I give this example in my village actually. One very devotee got a dream that Lord is lying down under the old well. And they dig down there quite deep and they found out the Lord is there. And many devotees sees the Lord. Many devotees speaks to the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered into the Tota Gopinath temple and deity. The Mirabai entered into the deity of Dwarakadesh. Nityananda Ram entered into the deity of Bengam Rai. And so many devotees. Villamangala Thakur, the Lord was personally serving him. Where it is all coming from? And devotees experiences this. And Srila Prabhupada, even just for an example of Srila Prabhupada, here we are struggling to maintain one temple. Srila Prabhupada within 10 years, 108 temples. Where is this all potency comes from? So in this way, when devotees look at this reality, these all various things, we know that there is an Udupi temple. Initially, they installed the deity in the eastward direction, the east direction, Udupi temple. And then deity turned towards the west. And I mentioned that this story before. There is a devotee called Kanagadas. Kanagadas was a very great devotee of the Lord. But on those days, he was born in a lower family and they were not allowed to enter him into the temple. Kanagadas was a little boy, like 7 years or 8 years old. So he came there, but somehow with his friend, he entered into the temple. Later, somebody found out that this Kanagadas is actually entered into the temple. So they caught him and tied to a tree and beaten him like anything. And he was crying like anything. Oh Lord, what mistake I did. I just had such a desire to see you. And I just came here and see what I got it. So Lord was immediately turned towards Kanagadas. And there is a wall over there and it's completely broken out and it's created a small hole there. And Kanagadas could see the Lord directly through that hole. And if you go to Udupi temple, still it is there. And this deity was actually worshipped in Dwaraka, Balagopal. And this came to Madhavendra Puri. Not Madhavendra Puri, that is Madhavacharya. Yes, Madhavacharya. So see that it's all, every temple, even deity has such a pastime. It's not that we get, that's Archa Vigraha. Lord receives it. So many examples of devotees personally experience a religion. They have direct interaction and experiences to the Lord. So how the scientist explains that? They say this is all sentiments. But devotees realize that, right? Devotees doesn't go and challenge them or something like that. So this is the other side of it. So that's what we are going through in the reality, in that experiences or the spiritual, what is called ecstasy, or one who comes to that spiritual platform or come out from the material entanglement. They come into this platform, then they have that experiences with the Lord. And this No, materialists cannot understand this. So this is the beyond this material realm of material nature. So then they come to the real consciousness. They come to the pure, level of purity in that spiritual level. And they can see things. They talk about so many things. Otherwise, how about all our sages? They travel to the spaces. They exactly said about the position of a pole star. That exactly said this is static. Scientists came out very later. They talk about so many stars and various stars and their position thousands of years ago. How did they do that? Because of they have this spiritual, when they come to a spiritual realm and spiritual understanding, they could see all these things. They can see things. They can see beyond our level of, conditioning. So we can see only few things, but they are not like that. They can see beyond. We can hear few things, but they can hear so many things. So materialists just completely, it's a frog in a well. Dr. Frog, that's what Srila Prabhupada always compare them, right? They have not seen the world beyond the well. But a frog came from the ocean. Even the frog tells to this frog in a well, tell that, the ocean is so big, they cannot understand. That's the problem. So that doesn't mean that, yes, I mean, they are also trying to find out. So that's a good thing but, Srila Prabhupada says that one has to learn Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the true science, transcendental science. Yeah. Very nice. Thank you. Wonderful discussion. Anybody else? Anything to add? Any other reflections? Today is a Vijayadashmi day. So nice to discuss the spiritual topics.
Thank you, Simeshwar Prabhu, for providing such a huge platform for everyone to come and share their thoughts, and you encourage them. So I think this is a boon. It's not because everyone can come forward and share whatever they want to share. So this is really, I mean, if devotees can utilize this platform, I mean, it's not only for the people who are asking questions, it's for the who are teaching or speaking. They also can go back and do some research, some more studies, some more thought process. So yeah, thank you, Prabhuji, for providing such a nice platform.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's a systematic study of it, right? So everybody can relish, everybody can share their thoughts and reflections and comments and realizations this way, so that yes, I mean, the spiritual topic is so wonderful, so wonderful. It's like a diamond. Diamond has thousands of faces. When the light falls on each faces, it glitters like anything. So like that. That's exactly, Krishna's Achindya Guna Swarupam. Whichever way we can, this all comes to Krishna anyway, ultimately. So it's wonderful. Absolute. That's called absolute. Knowledge is absolute. So nice. We can come from top, we can come from the bottom, we can come from the side. Everything comes to that point of Krishna. We cannot go. Even scientists may think that, they don't want to, I don't want to see, even name the Lord. But Lord makes in such a way that everything finally will come to the Lord only. How deep you go in an ocean. So like that, how to be deep in what we do in either material or spiritual, it's all come from all the final destination is Krishna only. Because that's supreme potency only. So everything comes from him only. That spiritual, the material is nothing but just a transformation of that spiritual energy. Material energy is nothing but a transformation, or is called prakata or aprakata. Manifestation and unmanifestation. This is a state of it. Sometimes it's manifested, Sometimes it's unmanifested. So this black hole, dark matter, all this is the terms which they say is, it's already mentioned in our scriptures, Avyakta and Prakata. Prakata Bhav and Avyakta Bhav. So our spirit soul is also, as it's mentioned, that spirit soul is very tiny, just 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. But that gives all these things for us, a spirit soul existence of it. So then that spirit soul exists eternally. So what, everything is there. Speech is there, sight is there, hearing is there, relishness is there, everything is there, but in the purest form. Jai, wonderful. Anybody else to add anything?
Prabhu, science is study and the nature of things. Science is understanding the nature of things. Now, if we look at spiritual science, you're understanding things which are beyond beyond the senses. So typically we make use of our senses to understand things. And we know that the senses are defective. You know, those defects under illusion, cheating propensity, defective, imperfect. So when we talk about material science, it's still trying to understand things. But the only problem is that material science puts the limitation. As long as I can see with my sense, eyes, smell, touch, feel, or with the intellect, or I can say mathematics, if it can be shown through math, then I'll say yes, it is true. However, in spite of that, there are still so many things that science is getting right, getting wrong, getting right, getting wrong. And when we talk about the spiritual science, you're also you're trying to understand the nature of things. But only thing is that we don't rely on the senses. So how do you know that? Because if you're trying to do it, trial and error is not possible. If you realize with your senses, you can do trial and error. Like if you look at a small child, a child initially learns through taste. They put everything in their mouth, and that's how they try to figure it out. Then slowly they develop, and then they eyes, ears, they hear parents talking, they form words, their intellect develops. But here, if we look at the material science, it's like a child trying with its limitation and rejecting everything else. But with spiritual science, there is no senses that will work. You can't just on your own basis try to figure things out, because it's beyond these senses, the material senses that we have, which is why it has to come down from the authority rather than going upward. Material science is going upward. So what they talk about, Prabhu brought up the point of dark matter, dark energy. I think dark matter, dark energy was sometime in the 20s or 30s. It was discovered, quote unquote. But it has always been there since day one. Now they're getting more and more information about it. So it's just like putting something in your mouth and, trying to figure out what that taste is. But if you're going in the spiritual science, the Guru Parampara, Sadhu Shastra, whoever it is, who knows stuff the way it is, because it's coming from the source only. If you open up Bhagavad Gita, there is the Parampara from Krishna itself. So you already have it ready-made. The only thing which is required is that faith. Faith helps us see things beyond our senses, understand things beyond our senses. However, if we limit ourselves, we think faith to be sentiment, we think faith to be emotional. Oh, it can't be proven. But there are so many things that science still has to prove. And even whatever it has proved has been disproved. Because whatever are the laws of physics, which is supposed to be sacrosanct, Laws of physics break down at the quantum level. Now they found that there is the fundamental particles, but even there now there is research that there is still something more. So what is really, it's a simple acceptance that yes, we are limited, yes, we are faulty. The smartest person, the genius will still have some defect, and it's only trial and error. Kabhi laga, kabhi nahi laga, kabhi laga, kabhi nahi laga. So just because I can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There is so much of the universe that we don't know. So they try to, even consciousness they're saying is matter. They're even putting that life is also matter. It's just chemical reactions and all these other theories which come up. But that's just a speculation, no, Prabhus, Matajis. I can sit here sitting on my sofa and think of some real, like Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. He had written that very nice essay which was refuting the Ritwik theory. Anyone can think about anything. You can think that this world is being ruled, this entire universe is being ruled by a three-legged grasshopper with 7 heads. Who's to stop you from thinking like that? But is it factual? You can use all your formulas and you can use everything to prove it. So it's very simple actually. It's so simple. It just requires us to first understand that our capabilities are limited, our capabilities are faulty. And you're trying to understand the subject matter which is beyond the scope. I can't see the far off stars with my naked eye. I can't. No matter how much I try, whatever I do, I just can't. I need a telescope. And with that telescope, I'm able to see. Similarly, this telescope is the faith. And those lenses are the Guru Paramparas. They know. So why is it that the whole problem is we do not accept, and that is our arrogance, that is our false ego, that is our nonsense, all of us. So actually, the scientist is also finding the same thing, trying to do the same thing which a spiritualist is doing. Same thing. He's trying to understand the nature of things. Yeah. But he's going about the wrong way. So that is the whole drama. And everyone is cursing everybody. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
So Srila Prabhupada says that in order to touch the, from here to the ear, it's very simple, just here. But what they do, they go all the way around like that, come like this.
Yeah.
So that's Avarohana and Arohana. So, yeah.
And what you mentioned earlier, Prabhu, there is so much of knowledge. And I'm not saying the Vedas and so many Shastras are there. I'm just saying what Prabhupada has written. Just what Prabhupada has written explains everything. Yeah. Everything. There is nothing more you need to know. And whatever is written, just see, you read the Bhagavad Gita once, you read it second time. Every time you read, it's new. Every time you read a scripture, there is something new which comes out. How come? It shows it's unlimited. It's unlimited. You can't just put it in the few pages of the book. Prabhupada has given us this. He's given us infinity. Yeah. He has given us infinity in these pages, infinite in the pages. So ऐसा नहीं है कि एक बारी भागवतम पढ़ गया है, read it, now I know. We may memorize all the shlokas, fine. But every time it is read, there is some new reflection that comes up. It's not the same, which is infinite. Even, our Guru Maharajas and senior devotees who have been, what they do, you just see them, they're all the time reading. So it's so wonderful that we have this with us. And It's matchless gift. It is. Thank you all for your association, which helps us at least try to understand one drop little bit. Amazing.
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 Wonderful.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I mean, really jai.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada built this family, built a roof that everybody can, get into it. All we need is just have little enthusiasm that to pray to the Supreme somehow or other, please, gives us an opportunity. So that please take us. So we take shelter of all the devotees, since we don't have any capacity or any potency. So we seek mercy of each and every devotee, so that by the mercy of the devotee, we get a little taste to that. That's where our spiritual journey begins, and only by their mercy, their potency, that we can come out of this material attachment and material entanglement, come to that spiritual realm. And it's not easy. We need mercy of each and every devotee. Their mercy only that we can progress. So that's the Sangha. That's what is the importance of this Sangha. Yeah, thank you so much, dear devotees, especially on this very auspicious day of Vijayadashami. It's a wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. As you mentioned, like it's an ocean. More we dive deep, we'll get more gems. So every day we read Bhagavad Gita, as Amritananda Prabhuji was telling that every time we say the new answer, new meaning. So really, it's really wonderful, Prabhuji. And thank you so much for this Sangha. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, very nice. If anybody else, otherwise let's conclude.
Thank you, Harikishore.
Thank you, Harikishore. Wonderful. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
So let's then conclude. Vancha kalpatarubhasya Prabhasya Padidana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Gauri Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari.
Hari,
And don't forget,
Hari.
tomorrow is Ekadashi, and fast from grains and beans. And this is all the part of this process. This all what which is mentioned in the scriptures is all part of the process. You get into that real, real understanding, real, realm. It all helps. Yeah. So, and Sunday is Kartik is starting. So will be this Urja Vrata, which is known as Damodar Puja or the Urja Vrata in Kartik month. So first of all, we don't eat any urdu dal. Second thing is actually we eat only prasadam during this month, which is offered to the Supreme Lord. Don't eat anything outside or anything else other than Krishna prasadam, and also minimize the intake of it. I mean, first of all, this over energy or excess energy within ourselves is actually also causes lots of problem with us, right? The excess energy when we have, and that has to consume in so many ways, and that goes to the mind, that goes to the senses, that goes to the energy. So the one way of minimize the intake so that we can focus on the Supreme. So that's also we can practice, and also offer the ghee lamp to the Supreme Lord every day. And there is a great benefit. There are so many, actually. Even a mouse, just just for eating, it was offered to the Lord, this ghee lamp. And by somehow this mouse got into their mouth, and the next lifetime, this rat got a birth into a big palace and became became the queen of the king. So that much, just by, some way or other. So one who offers this ghee lamp has greater benefit of, their sins are eradicated, and they get the spiritual benefit and the mercy in so many ways. So don't miss the opportunity, the Kartik Vrat, 1 month, and October 9 to November 7. So please, as much as possible, and engage into the devotion, chant the holy name, and every day. We'll be also having some Kartik programs, and if anybody would like to host, do the Damodara Puja at their home and in your home, so we can do that, and please let us know, so we can make the arrangements for the Damodara Puja for this Kartik month, and also recite this Damodara Ashtagam while offering the Gila, because this month glorifies the Lord Damodar, and also, the Supreme Sri Sri Radha Damodar. It's a beautiful and wonderful month, and Vrindavan and all is completely packed now. So much devotees goes there, and they take Vrindavan Parikrama. They go to Govardhan Parikrama. They visit the temples. They visit the Dham. They stay there. Every day they get up and engage in such a wonderful devotion. The devotee is definitely that the abode of the Supreme Lord is guaranteed. No doubt into that, So then, that's what is the perfection of all this, what we do. So please engage and try to, as much as possible, whatever in your capacity, and perform the beautiful, loving devotional service to the Supreme, keeping the Supreme Lord Damodara in your heart, and the beautiful pastimes of Lord Damodara. So, yes, also will be next Monday onwards, we'll be also reciting Damodara Ashtagam while we are starting the class, or maybe we will see that whether at the beginning or at the end, we'll have the Damodara Ashtagam every day. And also we can pray to the Lord, and then we'll have also Bhagavad Gita class. And also we have Bhagavatam class in the morning. So please join, don't miss out. Come to the temple and at least, visit the temple and participate in the Damodara Puja. And also charity. And if you can give the charity, whatever in the capacity, it says that many million times it's get benefited. And there is also last 5 days of Kartik is also known as Bhishma Panchak. That's also very, very beneficial. And so many ways, these opportunities comes to us. So all we need to do is just be there, and the rest will take care of us. Thank you. Okay, so we'll conclude. Okay, so thank you so much, and there is nothing else now. I think Gauranga Prabhu is speaking on this Sunday, I believe. And also Amarendra Prabhu is speaking on this Sunday morning, on this Kartik begins. Sunday is the Kartik begins. Yeah, we are packed with, we are blessed with such wonderful devotees. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.